Okay, so I just finished a really, really nice blitz game. I've not analyzed it yet, but this game was absolutely brilliant. So I basically just destroyed my opponent. And I think the key word here is, what is my opponent going to do? Because my opponent couldn't do anything most of this game. My opponent was completely paralyzed. I don't know if I played the right ideas, but I think this was a very nice game. And I'm really proud of it because I've studied a lot of strategy. So we reached this position. I decided to play the Scotch opening, and my opponent plays the move d6, which the engine already says this is really bad. And I played the move pawn to c4. And this reminds you probably immediately of an opening called the Maróczy Bind. Now, in this case, it's not really necessary because you can just play knight c3, develop your bishop to c4, castle, and you have the same control. And c4 is a fine move, but I mean, c4 is a pretty good move. But the problem is that it's a little bit unnecessary, but I didn't really care. I mean, c4 is still a very good move. My opponent played bishop to e7. I developed my knight. He developed his knight, and I played bishop e2. He castled. I developed my bishop. And here there's a little bit of an interesting thing, because I played bishop e2, not this move, because maybe knight g4 is a little bit annoying. Actually, the engine immediately says it's a draw. Generally speaking, in these positions, and also in Sicilian openings, you don't want to allow knight g4. So I played bishop e2, prevent knight g4, and he decides to take. Now, the problem here for my opponent is that it's really, really, really difficult to make progress. Like, the only way to make progress is to go here, but you can't do that. So I just have complete demolition over the center. So he decides to take. I take back with the queen. I can also take with the bishop, doesn't really matter. Now here the engine recommends knight g4, which I missed during the game, but my opponent missed it too. My opponent plays the move b6. Now I think this is more of like a low-level move. b6 is not a good move. And I decide to lock castle. He plays bishop e7. I bring him to the game. He moves his knight back, and I play the move f3. So I basically get a Maróczy Bind structure, where I get the pawns like this, and also putting the pawn on b3. So what ends up happening is he plays bishop f3, and yeah, his pieces look really nice. I mean, he can play this move, and it forces my queen back, and oh, this looks really bad. The problem is my opponent doesn't really have anything to do, because the way that you utilize piece activity, the way that you open up these pieces, is by using pawn breaks. But b5 does not work. I mean, clearly playing b6 and then b5 is a bad idea. Pawn to f5 is never going to happen, and if it does, it's just going to weaken black's king. And yeah, you're just going to take it. And then what is black going to do after you take it? Also, you don't even have to take it, because this pawn is really, really well protected. So it's really difficult for black to do anything. So black moves the knight back, and I played this move. And I'm just like, let me just double up on this file. What are you going to do about it? He moves the knight right back, attacking my pawn, and I just defend it. What are you going to do? You can't make progress. This move just weakens your position. c6 loses a pawn, and that's really what I wanted to do. Now c6 doesn't work. b5 was really the only hope of counterplay, but he's never going to do that. He's never going to play b5. He moves his knight back, and I played this move, which I think is a nice move. And the engine doesn't like it. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit that the engine doesn't like this move. My idea was to reroute the knight to a better square. If he goes here, I just move my queen to b1. And if he takes, I win the bishop pair. So that all of these ideas, all of these ideas are like here. You know, the engine gives a +2 advantage for white because black can't do anything. White can build up an attack super slowly, as slowly as he wants. Black can even counterplay. Only counterplay black has is like these pawn breaks, but they're really, really hard to get work because you have such massive control. Because if you move this pawn, you lose this pawn, for example. But apparently this one is not correct because of the queen e7, apparently. And now, if you go here, now black is better, apparently. Bishop d4, queen d4. Oh, yeah, this is interesting. So probably this is interesting. So the reason why I'm better here is because of the pawn breaks. And how do you utilize the pawn breaks? How do you utilize that? Well, you have to have a knight. You need a knight. So here, example of knight d5. And then you play b4, b5. And this knight is important because it defends the b4 square. And the knight is really, really nice place here. And if you play c6, this square is weak. And if you play c5, this pawn is also weak. And d5 will never be possible because I have a bind. Because I have a complete bind. So knight b5. So bind basically means my opponent can't do anything at all. So knight b5 is played. Okay, my opponent plays queen b8. So it's really, like, the thing about these positions, it's really difficult for my opponent to play. Here my opponent had to play queen e7, as I said before. And then if I go here, he would have to take everything, which is the only way. And black is apparently better here. Black is not better here. Oh, black is better because black is just really solid. I just can't break through the structure. I don't know why black is better here. Probably because probably because my bishop on e2 is just really poor. But anyways, I mean, it's all very reasonable. Okay, knight b5, I think, is a reasonable move. He plays queen b8, and I play the move e3. Now I'm stopping everything. Like, he can't do anything. Queen b8 doesn't help his position. This is the thing, right? There's a reason why you develop your pieces. It's not just because, someone told you to. It's because you gotta do something, and black cannot move this knight forward. Black can't do anything. Black cannot do anything. Can I do something? I can play b4, I can play c5, I can play here, I can go here, I can go here. And these ideas are all very realistic, but do you really think black is, gonna go here and take my queen? That's not a very realistic plan. See, my opponent plays knight e5, and I just play b4, I kick it out, he takes, I take back, he plays knight b7, and the engine here gives +3. And I completely agree with that evaluation. Now, some of you might not, but I definitely do. Because black can't do anything. I decided just to attack this pawn. He has to defend it. He goes here, and I just move my queen more forward. And I think my idea of this move was literally just to go here, and that's exactly what happens. I just triple up here, and he just can't do anything. Now, obviously, my opponent could go for some crazy defense, and you can probably come up with something, but like, I just go here, threatening take, right? I'm just opening up everything, take. Now here, apparently, my opponent can play bishop f6, and everything's equal. And actually, maybe it is. If I play queen f4, there's rook e8. And now, apparently, it's better for black. Because now I can't do anything, because if I can't go here because I take it, right? That's really the main problem. Or actually, no, in this case, it's bishop e4. So really, the problem for me with my position after this move, he can just take. Queen takes, he can play bishop f6, and he's actually kind of untying his position, which is interesting. So I didn't play a perfect game. Here, I this move is just too fast. I mean, this allows his bishop back in the game, so I should play f4. I mean, this is, again, my opponent cannot do anything here. I'm literally threatening to go here, and instead he's forced to go back all the way here. But I go here instead, which is too quick, which I guess is, I mean, this is completely fine. I mean, I can't blame myself for this. I mean, it's really difficult for my opponent to find play. But apparently, after bishop 6 here, and then, rook here, and if I go here, then apparently g6 is better for my opponent. Apparently. Which is really difficult to evaluate, because, I mean, black can't really do anything, but then it turns out I can't do anything either. But anyways, he played a6, I decided to play bishop to c4, threatening the knight. He played this move, wanted to trade queens, and I decided he was happy, let's trade queens, and get into a winning endgame. And I'm really excited to see this endgame, because I think I played pretty well. So I played this move, apparently not the best move, I didn't really care much. Bishop e5, now he moves his rook in the center. I was a little bit annoyed. I decided to defend my pawn, he attacked my bishop, I moved my bishop back, he played rook 3, and I decided to move my bishop here. Now here, I was expecting this move, because he's threatening this. Now I was planning to just defending, and then I didn't really see what he was going to do. Like, yeah, he can bring his king, I bring my king, but, like, I'm the one who can make progress. I can push these pawns, I can attack this pawn. I have the, option to kind of, like, if I control the d file, then I'm winning. So, like, I am the one with wins. So I go here, and now if he takes me, I take with the bishop, and this pawn is rolling. So he doesn't do that, he defends it. Now here, obviously I can take, but I would settle for this, and now my structure is completely solid. The only weak point in my position is the pawn on a4. I move my king forward, he goes here, and I go here, and everything's defended. He decides to play this move. I now attack this pawn, and attack it even more. He's able to defend it, but now, when you see a pawn chain like this, you always want to play h4. The problem is, he can't take, because you take with a bishop, for example, in this case, and you just open up another line of attack, and if they don't take, you take them, which ends up happening in the game, and my opponent can't do anything. I swear, even if I go king h1, I'm completely winning, because there's nothing my opponent can do. My opponent cannot make progress. If you try and make progress with the bishop, I push. If you and you might think, well, where does this come from? Why cannot my opponent make any progress? It's because of my piece activity, and because of my better structure. And this is, if you go back to this position, the way that I won this position here is literally just because I am super solid. My opponent cannot break apart my position, and I will just improve my position. I'll go here, and then I'll move my knight in the center, and then I'll play maybe b5, b4, a5, a4, and I'll just very slowly just completely destroy him, because my opponent can't do anything. And that's exactly what happens in this endgame. So my opponent just can't do anything. My opponent cannot do anything whatsoever. So my king was back. I take. I move my bishop back, which is not a good move, but I didn't really see anything from him. I just played a move. I didn't really know what to do. He went here. I just moved my rook here. I didn't want to go here because it's kind of softens my pawn structure. Softens up my pawn structure. I played the move rook d1 with the idea to go here. He went here, stopping from doing that. I went for this check. He moves his rook back, and I decided to trade rooks, and I take this pawn, and I'm completely winning. He moves his king. I play c7. He decides to sacrifice his bishop, and in a few moves, got a little bit exciting maybe. I decided to sacrifice my bishop back because I have this move. He went here, b7 here, and now very, very simple. I just move my king forward, and I win. So here, for example, you can see I go for this move and this move, and I win. I win the game. I take. It's important that you don't get stalemated here, but eventually I get to checkmate him. So really, the moral of the game is that my opponent couldn't do anything. After d6, he is simply restricting his own pieces, mainly the bishop. You see this bishop isn't doing anything the entire game. It's hitting rocks. It's hitting nothing. Now there was one variation, as you saw before, where black could activate it, like here. He should have played bishop 6, but he didn't play it. And now, I mean, now, look at this bishop. It's just sitting there. Yeah, really, the black just couldn't do anything this whole game. And it really just all went downhill after he played the move d6. And then he played bishop e7. And, like, he's playing well here, but b6, I mean, he's kind of restricting himself. Because this move, he's not going to go forward here. He's developing his pieces, which is good, but he's not going to go forward. You know, he's just going to go here. He's going to move his rook back and forth 10 million times. He's going to move his king back and forth. He can't go forward. He doesn't have any forward attacking ideas, except for knight g4, but he's not going to do that. He doesn't go knight g4. Knight g4 is a great move. Now I have to move my queen back, and now apparently rook e8, and he maybe has some ideas, so I still have 3. Is pretty annoying, but like he needs to come up with ideas. That's really the hard part about playing the king's in defense, about playing the accelerated dragon with the black pieces, is that what can very often end up happening is that you just get crushed because of strategy, because you just can't do anything, and that is why openings like the king's in defense and the accelerated dragon are not considered to be that good in modern theory, because sometimes you can just get into these terrible positions, just like what happened in the game. Like if you don't play perfectly, if you play more like b6, then you just get into a bind. You can't do anything. You just can't do anything. Now here, I mean, there's ideas for black here, but my opponent just doesn't know them. My opponent played 95, which is not a good move. I just move my queen back. This pawn is never going to be taken. I just play b3, and I just have a completely solid structure. I'm going to double up here, and my opponent can't do anything. I have complete freedom in the position. So that really goes to show, like, in order to play these openings as black, like, if you want to play this opening as black, you really have to know a lot of ideas. Like, here, apparently, you have to play knight g4. I had to take with the bishop. You had to play knight g4, but you went here, and, okay, here, opposite f3, prevent knight g4, now again knight g4, or knight e7, but still, I mean, black is worse here, but you have to find the best ideas. Queen d2, apparently, bishop f6, f3, let's see what the engine recommends, so a5, b3. So this is another thing, right? So you need to know how the general idea. So the way that you break apart a structure like this is through pawn breaks. So I might think, oh, let's go here and break it, but actually the idea is to go here. And I have a video on how to play the accelerated dragon in the Maróczy Bind as black, and I'm gonna label link to that in the description of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. See you guys later. Bye.